And joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, the man, the myth, the legend from Q&A and former Eagles safety, Mr. Quintin Mikell joins the show. What's up, Q? What's up, Q?
What's going on, man? How's it going, man?
It's, you know what? I'm a spoiled man. What can I say? With the exception of the Eagles losing, and the Phillies losing the World Series. And the Union losing the MLS. That was fun. And the Flyers being outscored like 100-0 or whatever the hell it's been. It's been a wild ride to say the least. But I want to start out with this. You and I have talked about Jonathan Gannon and his defensive play calling, and I can remember talking to you last year in that Giants game, that weird 13-7 Giants game that the Eagles lost, where Jonathan Gannon was just sitting back and waiting for Daniel Jones to mess something up, and it just didn't happen. It felt like this game, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, agree or disagree, this game felt like a regression for Jonathan Gannon's defense, and it's not like he was kicking into high gear with being super aggressive. It was just that I felt that he was super passive in this game against Washington. What say you?
Yeah, I agree with that. It seems like his his MO when he's facing a young quarterback. I don't know if it's because he doesn't have enough, tape to go on, or it just seems like he'd rather kind of sit back and wait for a young quarterback to make a mistake instead of attacking. It's something that we hadn't seen all year. I don't know if injuries had something to do with it. I know Avonte Maddox, I don't know how late that was of a scratch. Obviously not having Jordan Davis in there. I think all of that kind of played into his decision-making and his play calling, where I think he kind of regressed to playing, not, I want to say soft, but playing not to make a mistake instead of playing aggressive, which in my opinion, is the opposite way you should go when you're down a couple guys. I think you should, be more aggressive when you're down a couple guys. So, but I'm not the defensive coordinator, so what do I know?
Right. Well, I'll say this: not yet. I mean, they got that Jeff Saturday guy. He's the head coach all of a sudden. He was like a mascot 20 minutes ago. Anyway, no, I respect the heck out of Jeff Saturday, whatever. But you get what I'm saying. All right, so you would be maybe a little bit more aggressive, which shouldn't be that hard considering what we saw in that particular game. So if you were the defensive coordinator, if you were a guy on the sideline and you were tapping JG on the shoulder, what would you be telling? How would you be using the guys you did have at your disposal?
Well, to me, the biggest thing is I'm not a huge fan. I love Slade, great player. I'm not a huge fan of letting receivers get off the line of scrimmage all the way down the field the entire game. I mean, it's just going to put pressure on your guys the entire game, and it's gonna make it an easier throw. It's gonna make it an easier opportunity for big plays to happen. So I would change up my my secondary a little bit, have those guys play a little bit more aggressive, and give that front four a little bit of time to get there. Now, listen, the I keep wanting to say the R-skins, but I can't say that the Commanders.
Yes,
they came ready to play. They came hungry. They came ready to fight. They came ready to play hard, and they had a good game plan. And I think I don't want to say that the Eagles were, playing down to their level. I think that they just kind of thought they had it in the bag because of what happened in the first game. You got a young quarterback. So I just think that this was a misstep for the entire program. And I think they'll be fine eventually, but you definitely have to start to take notice on, how things are going, because it's not looking good right now.
I'll say this, and this might sound like a homer, but I swear I say this about other teams. It's a great compliment to you as an offense when the defense, or excuse me, when the other offense is just running the football, looking to burn clock, looking to keep your offense off the field like Washington was last night. I think it's a great compliment to that opposing offense, because we know if we let you on the field, you're going to win. So they try to keep Jalen Hurts and this offensive unit off the field. As a defensive player, though, Q, don't you realize that's what's happening? Don't you realize as you're watching this game, they just want to burn clock, keep Jalen Hurts off the field, and then when he comes back on, everything's got to be a rush, and they got to maybe make a rash decision, or maybe they make a mistake. As a defensive player, don't you know that's kind of what the game plan is of who you're facing?
Yeah, I mean, there's no surprise there. This team, especially defensively, they're an attacking style defense. They're a defense that's built to play with the lead, where a quarterback is forced to drop back and you can get after the quarterback. The secondary is playing more aggressive. They're playing off the ball and they're making plays. But, we've seen over the last couple of weeks, especially starting with the Texans and a little bit in a couple games before that the power run game grinded out kind of the old school style of football is what this Achilles heel is for this team. So, now I think it's time for them to take notice. Like, listen, we got to get off the field on third down. We cannot allow these teams to just grind the ball and play power football because that's not what we're built to do. So I don't know. I mean, obviously not having Jordan Davis in there has been a huge, issue these last couple of games. But those other guys, they got to step up, man. They got to step up and get ready to grind it out because these next 4 or 5 games is going to be kind of the same type of game plan they're going to be facing from here on out.
You mentioned Fletcher Cox a couple of times. You mentioned Jordan Davis a couple of times here. How much do you think, not just the Eagles' defensive line as a whole, but how much do you think Fletcher Cox misses Jordan Davis in the middle of that defensive line?
Absolutely. I mean, when you got that big guy in the middle, pushing that center back, it's keeping those double teams off of Cox. It's keeping those double teams off the tackle. So, when Jordan's in there and he's such a load, it creates one-on-one situations for all those guys across the board when you're in a 5-man front. So I definitely think that Fletch, he is a little bit older. He still can go though. But at this point in his career, I think he'd rather get out to the quarterback than face double teams all day. So I'm sure he's ready for Jordan to come back or them to kind of figure out what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. Fletcher Cox, by the way. Yeah, not the spring chicken we once knew. 31. He's not eld by any means, but there's a lot of miles on that 31-year-old body. How about this? And I have to ask you because it's just so weird. And when you played versus the way they play the game now, there's been a whole bunch of change in player safety, whole bunch of change in terms of way they call the game in general. When you saw the face mask on Dallas Goedert and you saw, first off, it was missed. Second, they had to review it anyway because it was a turnover. So they had to watch the play they just missed, the face mask they just missed. And then also the late hit by Brandon Graham. What were your takeaways from watching those two plays unfold?
My takeaway was I'm not saying that the game is fixed, but if it was fixed, that's exactly how I would expect it to go. Now, obviously, there's the refs don't really control the game, so to speak. The Eagles still had to go out there and execute, and you got to give it up to the Commanders. They came out with a good game plan and executed. But it's just frustrating in today's world. It's like everyone is expecting these refs. I mean, there's a lot riding on these games, and they're expecting these refs to really make these type of crucial calls. And when you miss a few of these, and there have been quite a few this year, not just this game, but just seeing it play out. And I know they can't challenge the face mask, but it's like I want you to get it right the first time. I don't want you to have to go to a replay to go back and try to fix it. I want you guys to get it right the first time. So it is frustrating. Listen, it's one game, but it's tough to watch, man.
I'm curious about this. I'm curious. Oh, real quick, the Brandon Graham hit. What did you make of that?
Oh, I mean, by the rule, it was. I mean, by the rule, you have to say that was the right call because he was already down. It's tough because I know Brandon. I know how hard he plays the game. I know it wasn't intentional. I know it wasn't something that he meant to do. He just plays hard, man. That's how he does it. So it's unfortunate. It was really annoying watching Heineke celebrate like they just won a Super Bowl after that, though. I was like, come on, man. Like, enough. But, it is what it is. That happens in football.
My major takeaway was this. I think the NFL has a problem. If you watch and you talk about player safety and everyone talks about player safety and player safety is the most important thing, how do you watch what happened to Dallas Goedert? Not just with the face mask, but his head being driven into the ground. And how do you not come away with the idea that, maybe having his face ripped off his head, maybe, just maybe that had something to do with the fumble happening. That play is okay. But the little pity pat, the little ticky-tack thing there with Brandon Graham, yes, it was the right call. Letter of the law, you're right, and I agree. But what's the more dangerous play? I think it really goes without saying. The Eagles, let me ask it. So I know I'll say this. I know players will say this, and current players will say this as well. But when you're watching this game and then you listen to the post-game interviews, everyone talks about how you can't put it in the ref's hands, okay? Q, let me ask you this, okay? You don't have to answer because I don't want you to dime out anybody, but when the microphone was in your face at Lincoln Financial Field, and you're like, you know what? We can't let the refs, it's got to be our control. It's our control. We got to do better. It's our job. When the microphone went away, did you guys ever turn to each other and be like, that ref cost us this damn game? Come on. Like, did it ever come out like that? Or did everyone keep the same type of mindset?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like they get cursed out left and right off the field, man. Because I mean, it's absolutely frustrating. You feel like you've been cheated. You feel like the game's been stolen from you, and it sucks, man. And the other good thing about it is you do get as coaches, the coaching staff, they do get to send in plays like that, and they kind of snitch on the refs, like, hey, they missed this call, they missed that call, they missed that call. So they get held accountable to a certain extent. But once the game is over, it's a wrap. So it's just frustrating. You just hope that it doesn't happen in the playoffs or Super Bowl or something like that, which has happened before. So
sure, a little bit. Last thing, just about the officiating as far as that goes. When it just comes with the way the Eagles played, if you were a player on the Eagles and the mistakes happened the way they happened in this game, would this be a game you talk about the officiating, or would you say Quez Watkins he has to hold on to that football? AJ Brown's got to reel that ball in if it's in his hands. Is it stuff like that, or are you saying, yeah, but the refs really cost us this game?
I mean, the refs did cost the game in certain spots, but I think I think personally, this team has been spoiled in the sense that they've really had a lot of things bounce their way good throughout this season. And I think that this was really the first game where some of the bad bounces, some of the bad plays, some of the turnovers came back to bite them. So I think this is a situation where the team, they played down to the level of the Commanders. The Commanders played up. They came out hard. They came out aggressive. I think this is a learning experience for this entire team. And I think that in a way, it almost seems like a lot of them are kind of happy that the whole undefeated stuff is over. Now it's like, okay, it's done. That's one less thing we got to worry about, one less question we got to get asked about. Let's just go play ball. So if I'm the coach, I'm looking at it like that. Like, hey, we didn't help ourselves at all. The refs didn't help us at all. Nobody's going to help us. If we want to win this thing, if we want to win the championship, we got to do it all together. And don't worry about anything outside.
Are you then in the school of it's good we lost now instead of being asked another question about being undefeated? Are you in the school of, okay, we got the loss out of the way, I guess? Are you in that mindset?
Yeah. I mean, because after a while, you as a player, you get tired of answering kind of the same old questions again, and it's unneeded pressure added onto you. Like, of course, everybody wants to be undefeated. You want the undefeated season, but the other thing that comes with that is you get everybody's best shot. I mean, they want to be the ones to knock the champ off the throne. They want to be the team to, make the undefeated team have one loss. So, not saying that any of the games are going to be easy here on out, but now that part of it, that mental aspect of it is gone and over with. Now we can just focus on just going out and playing and not worried about making mistakes and losing that thing.
Last thing for you here, bounce back right away, or is the book out on how to beat the Birds?
Oh, I think it's been slowly being exposed how to beat the Birds. And that's exactly what I said. Grind it out football, power run game, get all, continue your drives, continue your third down. You got to convert on third down, keep that offense off the field. No turnovers. And honestly, I think this is a crucial point where this team can understand and understand and like look at this game and say, okay, this is the reason why we lost. All right, the turnovers, which they have been fortunate enough to not have so many early on. They've been getting turnovers. That's something that, they got a couple, I think 1 or 2 in the game. So that part of it, they continue on. But I think the way to beat this team is grind it out football and offense, keep their offense off the field, no mistakes, and, make them tackle for 4 quarters, make them play hard, tough-nosed football for 4 quarters. That's the way to beat this team. And I think this, like I said before, I think they're at a spot right now where they can fix it and they can kind of right the ship.
Quintin, Mikell, and Jason Avant make up the Q&A podcast as part of the Inside the Birds empire, as Mojo and I like to refer to it. What do you got now? You guys got a new episode dropping tomorrow, Wednesday. What's going to be on that episode?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Monday night game. Obviously, what's going on there. We're going to talk about the coaching staff and where do we go now from having this one loss. Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? So it's always fun when me and Jay get on. We just talk and we go over some really deep stuff, and sometimes we just kind of crack it up and joke. You never know where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. So make sure everybody check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't want to be a snitch or anything, but I saw Jason Avant. I saw Jason Avant dancing at the Jason Kelsey event. I'm just saying, is all the man. He can keep a beat. I think you already know that, but he can keep a beat. You already know.
You're doing salsa dancing too, man. Like,
I did see that. I saw a little that thing going on. I was like, all right, hello. I've said hello. See you, buddy. But you guys do a great job with the Q&A podcast. Make sure you guys check that out as part of Inside the Birds Network. Quintin Mikell, always great catch up with you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks for having me.
The great Quintin Mikell, Q himself, joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Crushed it. You're the man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Anytime.
Have a great taping. Have a great taping.
All right, we'll do. Thanks.